Hi everyone, in this video we're going to create a full responsive navigation bar on React with a smooth animation and hamburger menu and mobile friendly kind of UI and user experience. So this is pretty much what we're going to be creating by this video tutorial, by the end of this video tutorial. It's pretty straightforward and awesome navigation bar with like logo generated, a menu in here, you can just hover over in here, click, and pretty much like accessibility buttons like register and login with cool colors. And for the responsiveness part in here, so if you just clearly see, go back into like mobile view, we got things goes right out of the box in there. They're not available anymore, and you got this really tiny hamburger menu shows up for you. And this is all being done by React and frame of motion for some like animation and SVG and stuff like that. So all being done from scratch for beginners. So if you're a beginner getting started with React and knowing how to, or pretty much loving to create components using React, and this video is actually for you. So if you're sitting at the hamburger menu, click it. With awesome animation, we get like a pretty awesome menu. You can pretty much just explore, and you can go in and log in or register. However, you can go in and exit the menu and so on and so forth. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video tutorial, and without further ado, let's get started. So let's get started, and if you're actually absolutely beginner and didn't know, or just like getting started with React, well, you probably have heard about something called Create React App. And this is what we're going to be using to initialize or create the projects we're going to be working on for putting together the navigation bar and creating all the components, then rendering them into a web browser. So Create React App is actually a CLI or a command line interface that allows us to scaffold and create projects really easily, just like with a line of code we use on our terminal. We just click OK, and it's going to create the projects for us, install all the node dependencies or the npm dependencies, and just does everything for us. Does the configuration, creates a server for us for the development server, with everything that we're gonna probably need, and more. So this is what Create React App is. And for it to scaffold it, you're just gonna need like a terminal. If you're running Windows, you can just grab a CMD there, or like any like Git bash would be super great to do so, but a CMD could do the job. And make sure you have got npm installed. All you've got to do is just go and do like npx, not npm, npx in here. You're just going to grab us the binaries from the internet. We're going to do like npx create react app. So just name it that way. And all you've got to do is just like name your project. For example, I'm going to do like my nav bar or something, and hit OK. So this is all you're going to need to do, and this is going to create a project folder named my navbar on this location you're currently in. It's going to install all the dependencies first in here using yarn or npm, and it's going to do the job. So I already did that, so I already created all of these. So all I'm going to need to do is just exit and start my projects. Clearly in here I've got a VS Code project running through, so everything's set up in here. I've already gone and created some couple of like files that's going to allow us to quickly get started. So here we got like component responsive index.js. This one is just going to put like something like different screen sizes, screen ratios that are widely used. For example, on mobiles have like 768 pixels as a maximum width, or a desktop has 224 pixels as a maximum width, and so on and so forth. Just like to make things go a little bit easier. Also, I created a logo. I didn't create it mainly, I just like gone and generated through using Google logo generator you can find for free. I just generated this logo so we can put it in the navbar and we can test with this and create like a really awesome and elegant application throughout the video right here. So this is probably going to be doing for this one. So just like I already created the logo, and this is all the setup we've got. So I think other than that, we got the app.js or JavaScript. I've put in here hello CoderOne. Pretty simple, and this should get us started really quick. So if you just go and open up localhost 3000, after running npm or yarn and just do start, it's gonna start a development server and you are ready to go. So here we got localhost 3000, we got hello world or hello CoderOne. You are a CoderOne, obviously, and yeah, so this is basically all we need. Now let's go ahead and install some dependencies we're gonna need throughout this video. For example, we're gonna need style components, frame of motion for adding some animation, and basically we're going to need React responsive to make sure that we can hook up some responsiveness into our React components. So let's go and do this. I'm going to use yarn. You can use npm, but this one here I chose to use yarn specifically, and yeah, explicitly told Create React App to use yarn for these projects. So we only need to do like yarn add style components, So it's going to add a style component right here. We're also going to need to do React responsive. And last but not least, we're going to need framer motion. So framer motion is event animation, React responsive for responsiveness, and style component is going to allow us to use CSS in our JavaScript. So I already gone and installed all of these. Just do them, install them, and you're ready to go. So curiously, I already started my server in here, and we are ready to go. Now, first things first, let's go and create our navigation bar components. Then later on, we can include it in this, like the div or the up components. This one is going to play a role of our like main home page. So we can just go ahead and include the navigation bar in here, on the top, so we can show up right on the top right there. So this is basically what we're going to be having right now. So inside of the components, I love to wrap my all of like components files, like dummy components, that all they care about is just rendering stuff to the screen. They don't care about data and how they flow and stuff like that. So I love to put all of them inside of like a components folder, so I know, oh, this is actually my dummy folder or dummy component, and I exactly know where to go. So structuring your projects or knowing exactly what components names to put together in order to form the right project structure is really important for the web developers to know and learn more about. So this is basically what I've got here. Here I'm going to create another component. I'm going to create a folder. So I'm going to do Control-Shift-N, and I'm going to name this Navbar mainly. Should I use it this way? I think that's a good choice. Okay, why am I putting here? So let's rename this to index.jsx. So this should be like the entry point for our navigation bar. Let's go and import React first, because we're going to need React a lot. So I'm going to do from React, and this should do like import our React application. Let's create a navigation bar container. This is going to be the full container, like a div container that takes the full width of a web page. You know how navigation bars are actually structured. So this is basically how it look like. So I'm going to do like navigation bar. I'm going to name it more like navigation bar container. It's going to have a style.div. And make sure to go ahead and import styled in here. You can do it automatically or explicitly. So I'm going to choose implicit type in here. So this should go ahead and import us style components so we can get started working with. So as I said before, it's going to take full width. For the height, I'm probably going to use something like a 60 pixels for the height, because I think this is actually a good height for a navigation bar. The other one, so I'm going to be using a box shadow to make it like pop it out of the the web page, to make it a little bit more obvious that, oh, this is actually a navigation bar. So yeah, we can have a 0 for X. We can do 1 pixel for the Y. We want to pop it a little bit just like to the down side or to the bottom to make it pop out of the page. I'm gonna have like 3 pixels for the here for the blurriness, and I'm gonna use RGBA. So I'm going to put 15, 15, 15, and 0.15, I think, for the opacity, or something like 13, I think, would do the perfect job right here. I'm going to use display flex, because we want a flex direction in here. I'm going to align all the items to the center. And this one is going to do vertical alignments, by the way, if you're not familiar with Flexbox. And for padding, I'm going to have some padding to like 0 top and bottom, but from the left to the right I'm gonna have like 1.5 EM, which should like do a really good padding that just like we center our web page, and this is just gonna give it more focus towards, oh, this is actually a navigation bar and it looks more centered toward the web page. So yeah, it would look better. So here we got the navigation bar container and everything. Let's go ahead and now, since for a navigation bar what we want to have like different sections. As you've seen before, that we've created is actually the first, or the leftmost section is actually about putting the logo together, like the website or the application or web application logo. So it's going to go to the leftmost. Then on the center, we're going to have a menu. For example, you can go to About Us, or you can see like impact, or you can visit products, visit pricing, whatever, just like general links for visiting and jumping through our website. And last but not least, we're going to have like an accessibility section where the user can log in or sign up or whatever you want to put there, just like, you know, the rightmost section this is what it's going to be. So I'm going to just like structure it this way. It's going to be simpler for you to guys understand it and be able to use it later on in your projects. So it's going to be like left section. I'm going to use styled div, and here I'm going to have like middle section again, as we talked about it. So div again, and last but not least, going to have like the right section. So that should do the job. Now for the left section, all of them going to be like display flex, because we want to like horizontal display in a row manner. So that is 2 and that is 2. Now one exception about the middle section, we want this to take the most part of the navigation bar, which means it's going to take as much width as it could, because it's going to be on the center, so it has to take all the width, and we're going to leave out the left to the leftmost and the right to the rightmost. You're going to understand this a little bit when you see the effect. So here I need to use flex and make it 2. So we want to flex grow to become 2, so it grows 2 like depending on the other section. So 2 compared to the left section and 2 times compared to the right section, if you get it right. So if the right section in here is actually, for example, 10 pixels, the middle section is going to be 20 pixels because it's twice bigger than the right section, if you got the point. So this is what you mean in here by flex. You can just do it the same with like flex grow, but I love to use it flex in this one. It just makes it a little bit more representative. So yeah, it looks better that way. Yeah, so basically this is what we've got so far. Let's go and create our components. We're going to do like export function. It's going to be navbar. So it's going to have props. So navbar, better use it this way. So for that, I'm going to use, I don't know why I just keep putting the navbar this way. So navbar, then we can have left section, then middle section, and last but not least, I'm going to have the right section. So this is basically what we're going to have in here. Now let's go ahead and just fill out the left section. Obviously for the left section, on every website, it's just like a standard thing. You've got the logo. For example, you've got a simple teeny tiny logo of your application, for example, a Facebook logo. Then just right next to it, on the right, you're going to find the text or the company name, the website name. For example, if you're going to find the Facebook logo, then you can find next to it Facebook. Pretty self-explanatory, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Here, just outside or inside of the components folder, we're going to create another component. So it's going to be logo, and this one, all it does care about is actually rendering the logo. Nothing more, nothing less. It's just like a dummy component. You just call it and it renders to you a logo. Pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go index.jsx, and for this one, I'm going to import React again. So import React from React. I'm going to export a function, which is logo. I'm just going to name it logo. It might have some props, why not? So this actually, as I said before, is pretty self-explanatory. It doesn't have anything to worry about. Now I'm going to create a logo wrapper. This one is going to wrap the logo. I'm going to use styled, import it, of course. And I'm going to have a styled div in here. So I'm going to have display flex. And I'm going to have like align items to be on the center for the logo wrapper. Now next, this is just going to be wrapping up things, nothing more, nothing less. I'm going to have here actually the logo image. So this one's going to take care of rendering our image. So I'm going to do style.div. And I'm going to have a width and a height, well, let's say about 29 pixels for this one. And for the image in here, it's going to take full width and full height. So just going to fill the full 29 pixels there. I love using it this way, just like makes it easier to read, and just like change one single property, whatever we want to change, like the width and the height. Just go here, change the width here. Just going to like automatically fill whatever will or whatever width is actually available from the parent container. So that should be straightforward too. Yeah, so let's just jump after the logo image. Going to create the logo text. So this one too, we have to use styled. I'm not gonna use div, I'm gonna use like h2 or something. That should be better. I can put, for the font size, let's choose something like 16 pixels. We can get rid of the margin. Well, for the font weight, so let's say we're gonna use 500 for the font weight, and for margin left and margin right, we can just do a 4 pixels because we're just gonna leave some margin from or between the logo image and the logo text, if that makes sense. And the color I can do like 222, which is kind of grayish color, a little bit more to the dark, so that should look a bit better, right? So yeah, I think that is good for the logo. So it's gonna do like logo wrapper, and we got logo image. So this one's gonna have the image. I'm gonna name this like, let's say our company name or our website name is actually like Greenland or something. I don't know. Just gonna name it Greenland for some reason. I'm gonna name it Greenland logo. And this one, let's go and import our logo from the images folder. So I'm gonna do Greenland logo image. So we can go back, we can go to some assets, images, the logo. That should do the job for us. We can just go and copy that and just put it right there. Should do the job too. Now for the logo text, we can just have the brand name, which we chose Greenland. I don't know, you can probably find a better naming for that, but this is all I've got here. So I'm just gonna name it Greenland, right? Cool. Now let's just jump back into a navigation bar and render the logo. And whenever we need a logo throughout our website, just gonna call this one, call the components, boom, you got the logo straightforward. So yeah, let's put it here. Okay, I should have done that. That should be simpler. Now we got a logo, let's go and test things out. I'm gonna go to REACT.JS and I'm gonna render the navbar right there. Okay, so that should do the job perfectly. So if we jump here, as you see, we've got our decent navigation bar, looks pretty good already. So we got a Greenland logo, we got some logo image in here. You can increase the size, by the way. And we got, it's like this box shadow is just making it look way much better than I thought it would be. So yeah, it's doing pretty much a great job for that to just make it pop out of like to make it stand more like it's a navigation bar, right? So everyone or anyone pretty much who looks at it, he says, oh, this is actually a navigation bar. It's pretty self-explanatory. So cool, let's jump back. So the next one in here, we got the logo. This is probably all we need for the left section, nothing more. Now, the most complicated part is actually the middle section, where we're gonna have all the links and stacked out. And for responsiveness, we're just gonna like, you know, stack it out or inside of like a hamburger menu with like navigation or responsiveness kept in mind already. So yeah, we have to think about that in a second. But without further ado, it's going to create some like nav links for a desktop. So I'm just going to do nav links.jsx, and this one is going to take care of like putting together the navigation links and just, you know, rendering them with some kind of like animation or transition and so on and so forth. So let's go and do that again. I'm going to import React again from React. So I'm going to export a function. It's going to be nav links. It's probably going to have some props too. And well, I think that is pretty good already. I can have like nav links container. So it's going to import style and div in here. So for the container, we can have something like it could take 100% of the height, because later on we're going to just like use some special transition, border transition. So that's why I'm putting it 100% in there for the height. And let's do also display flex as always. and align items to be on the center. Okay, pretty straightforward. Now let's jump. I'm going to create links wrapper, and this one is going to be like more like an ordered list for it. So I'm going to use an ordered list or UL, and I'm going to put margin to be 0 because it has some like default margin and padding. So when I get rid of it, I'm going to use display flex, and we can do something like, yeah, height to be 100%, so it does the same thing there. Pretty cool. Now let's create the actual link item, okay? So it's going to be more like link item styled, and it's going to be li. Alright. So link item here is going to take care of like rendering stuff. Like for example, it's going to be a single link. For example, about us, he clicks it, it takes him to the about us page or whatever. So this is probably what it's going to play the role here. Nothing more, nothing less. So we can have, for example, 100% height. We can do some padding, obviously from the top, not the top, but from the right and the left. So you can have like 1.1 EM. For the padding here, we can also have a different color. I can go and choose something like 222. So font weight, we can do 500 as well. And well, for the font size, we can pretty much choose something like 14 pixels. I think it should definitely make it look a little bit better. I can also do align items and to the center, and justify the content as well to the center, because we want everything to be centered and have some like padding. That's why I'm adding padding right here, to pretty much have padding between like different link items. That way it could pretty much look a little bit better, obviously. And yeah, so yeah, I think this is what it is for the link item here. And since an li or a link means we're gonna need an a tag or a hyperlink, so we can go ahead and make that too, like a styled.a. And therefore, well, for this one, it's going to be a little bit more just a regular one. So we need to get rid of like the text decoration. So it's going to be a non-text decoration, and we can have like color inherit. So it's going to inherit the same color as this one as its parent, which is obviously this one. And we're also going to have like a font size. It's going to be the same. It's going to inherit the like its parent's font size, and that should be all good. Now it's going to render out things in here. It's going to be nav links container. We're going to have nav or links wrapper, more likely. And here we're going to have link item. And for the link item, I'm going to have inside of it a link, or an anchor link, obviously. So this one should be like this. We're going to have an href. It's going to point to an empty link. And for example, let's do products or something. Anything could be like pretty straightforward. I can use about us in here. Okay, I think that should be good. We can do like 4 more. For example, you can do like how it works. Then we can do explore and impact. I don't know. It depends of what website or what content you have in your website. But yeah, I'm just gonna put it right there for just like testing purposes. Now let's jump back into the navigation bar, put it inside of the middle. So it's gonna be nav links. I'm gonna import it. We're gonna save it, and that should do the job for us perfectly. So if you go, it's clearly seen here. Well, at some point, I think we've got some unordered list kind of shaggy thingy, which we definitely don't want to have from this UL wrapper. So we can fix this list by just coming back on the UL here. We can do list style to be none, and that way we can easily fix it. So we jump back, so you see all the dots in here have been disappeared. But one thing in here, we are not going to see actually, or pretty much we're not seeing this like navigation links menu being centered, which we're exactly looking for. So let's go and do that. So probably for this particular case, we can just jump back here. So the middle section, first let's make it full height because we want the navigation links, which is the child right here, to take the full height. Also, we're gonna have like align items, or pretty much this is actually, so we can have justified content to be on the center. I think that should make it go to the center. So yeah, the problem isn't here. So the problem is mainly, so we got the navigation links, we got the link item, so align items, and yeah, both seem to be legit working. So I think I'm just missing a display flex here, which is right there, and yeah, boom. So it should do the job perfectly. Now, scrutiny, the menu in here is pretty solid and kind of boring, so we don't want it this way. We can pretty much add some like proactive thing to it and make it a little bit more alive and vivre. Why not? So we can pretty much add some border to it, like from the top right there. Whenever we hover over like a menu, just like a border top comes out, that's gonna make it look sick. So we can do that real quick in here. So for the link, we can just go and do hover. So whenever you hover over that, you can do a border. We want a border top specifically, and for a color, I don't know, we can just go and grab some color from flat UI colors, and I think the first UI palette can do the job. So I can just grab this one real quick, paste it here. We're gonna have 2 pixels, solid color, and that should make it. But here, if we try to make that, it's gonna look a little bit boring. The design won't look actually pretty great. So if we just jump into it, clearly see here, whenever we click on it, clearly see the text or the about us text comes down a bit because we added some border size on the top, which is, we don't want to do that. We don't want this happen, which is quite bad. So to make the design look a little bit more robust and reliable, we can add the transparent border to the top, which makes no harm, but it makes a little bit things go the right way we want it. So this way it's going to be transparent, nobody can see it, but it's going to not affect any size whenever we add or we change or toggle the border. I'm going to see that in a second. We're also going to need some transition for like some animation. We're going to have all, we're going to have 200 milliseconds. I'm going to do easy in and out again, and that should do the job. So cruising here, whenever I go through the border, it comes really smooth, the animation from the top, and the size in here or the position of the text doesn't change whatsoever. So this is actually a pretty good trick that everyone, whenever you add a border, if you have like some border sizing issues, which mostly happens in every CSS kind of style, well, you can add the transparent border trick and it can do the job or save the day for you. So yeah, this is looking pretty great. We can add some like 20 milliseconds. I think that make it a little bit more robust. But yeah, so nonetheless, this is actually looking a better way actually for the menu here, so on the middle. Now we finished with the menu. The last thing we're gonna add some accessibility, which is like login or sign up, like a couple of buttons we can add from there. So therefore we can go and do this. So I can do accessibility.jsx. Let's go and import React again. Export a function. So accessibility here, we're gonna have props, and therefore this is actually gonna be the accessibility. You're gonna have like some container for the accessibility to contain everything and just put it on the corner, and we can just like control everything or how it goes. So we can do accessibility container. It's gonna be styled. So make sure to import style components. All I need to put in here is actually display flex. Pretty much that's all I've got to be putting there. Now I need to like go and scaffold some buttons because we want to like some like login or register button or whatever to make it look the right way we want it to be. So therefore, let's go ahead and just add some button in here. I'm gonna just like name it login button. So it's gonna be styled. It's gonna be a button, and it's going to be that way. So I'm going to have like border 0, and for the outline as well 0. So I'm not gonna have any border or outline whatsoever. We also might need some padding for it. For example, we're gonna have like 8 pixels on the top, and for example, we can do 1 EM from the left to right to make it look a little bit taller, you know, how a button looks like. And mainly for the color, we're gonna have completely pitch white. For the font size, we can have 14 pixels. Font weight, we can do something like 600, I think. Maybe it could do the job perfectly. I'm not super sure. Border radius in here can save the day. We can put it something like 20 pixels for the border radius, and I think that way it could probably do the best choice right there, putting the border radius together. And now what I want for the actual button in here, I wanted to make it a little bit like robust, and the color have to be like vivid and fluid. So we can add some linear gradient to it and to match our theme. So here mainly we got some like, I don't know, some greenish kind of theme for our website, so we can use some linear gradient. I already matched that, so we can put it here. So let's say use background image for just putting some linear gradient, going from transparent to blue. And the reason I'm putting it from transparent, because right now to pretty much in CSS3 or pretty much any CSS version right now, there's no support for animating a linear gradient color or a background color for a linear gradient. It's impossible to do so. Anyhow, you can pretty much use a trick, which is currently I'm going to be using. So the color you want to animate, you have to like put it as transparent. For example, I want to animate the first part in here, which is, it's going to be greenish. The second part is going to be like more bluish. So I want to transition or animate this part. So therefore I make it transparent and put it as a background color right here. So this is the color I want to like transform. And whenever on a hover effect, so whenever you put a hover, what I can do is actually change the actual color. So for example, you can just go from this background color and we want to make it all of it to go to bluish. So that way we can just like transition really smoothly. So if you didn't use this trick, the animation won't work for you. You're not going to see a smooth transition between linear gradients right that way. So last but not least, you can just do like transition, put all to 40 milliseconds, ease in and out. Okay. I think that is actually a good choice right there. So let's go and do that. Oh, before that, I totally forgot about cursor pointer, which is really important. So we can do accessibility container. And inside of it, we can have a logo or login button, and I can just name it login. Very simple. So I'll jump back, go to the right section, and put accessibility. It should do the job right now. Jump back. Screw this in here. Logo is pretty good. So we got like login with just some cool color. Whenever we hover over it, we're gonna go and see this cool linear graded transition or animation. Just looking pretty great. So far so good right there. So like a bluish color. Whenever you just hover over it, you got login. You can pretty much also add like a register button for it too. So that won't be an issue if you just go and add it. Or make it first, because the register always comes first. And you can do like register and login. So for that regular thing, I can do so not last of type. I can do margin to the right about 6 pixels, I think. I can increase it a bit to 7. That will probably make it a bit better, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I think that is actually way much better. We can just go and take the login, that button, and just make it a normal text, which would probably look better, I guess. I'm not sure. So let's so I better go ahead and just like name this register button. So this one is going to be register button. Now for the login button, I'm going to copy all of that. I'm going to put it here, So login button, and it's not gonna have any background, nothing like this. All it's gonna have, I'm just gonna use this bluish color, probably. So all I'm gonna do just a transparent background color, and I'm gonna do a border 1 pixel solid with that particular color. And whenever you background hover over it, well, we can just put a background color. I think that would look a little bit better. Not completely sure though. And here I can do 222, right? So let's see if that makes sense. It doesn't completely look really that great. So let's try FFF. Okay. So hover over it. It kind of like looks better, I guess. Yeah, from that perspective it does. So we got register from the side, and we got login from the other side. So yeah, so far so good. Looking pretty awesome, I think. I don't know if we just change that. We'll make it. Okay, that is not really perfect. So yeah, so this way we got everything actually ready for our navigation bar. We got like the accessibility, we got the menu here with an awesome animation kind of thingy going on. And last but not least, we got like the logo here. Now for responsiveness, we tried going to inspect an element. I tried to like jump into like a responsive tab. As you can see here, it works perfectly. So for all sizes, if you just go a desktop size, a really large size like a 4K or 2K, it's still gonna work because that is pretty responsive when you just go to larger screens. But when you go down, as you can see here, once we go down to like 737 pixels, which is more like a mobile. So if you say like mobile S, which is mobile small, then you got mobile medium, mobile L, then you got a tablet, then you got a laptop L, then pretty much a 4K resolution. So here we are actually inside of more, what I can say, it's a tablet for that most part, but it goes a little bit towards a mobile, right? So whenever you go inside of it, clearly see the text starts to just like resize by itself. It's not really looking that cool. So what I want is actually to make it responsive. So whenever we hit that particular size here, so we want to just like hide all of that, put a hamburger menu from all the way right, and hide also the register login. So whenever the user clicks the hamburger menu, a menu gonna pop up right on top of these, and later on we can just like choose all the menus, and you can close the menu, and obviously you can go ahead and pretty much like use the login and register as well. So I think that is a perfect way to go ahead and describe it. So let's do that really quick. So remember we've put like the navigation links. So I'm going to use this particular component, all of it, for like just putting desktop kind of links or the menu for desktop. I'm just going to like duplicate this. I'm going to create another component. I'm going to name this like mobile nav links. And this particular component is going to be like responsible for rendering the mobile view with the hamburger and everything surrounding of that. So I'm going to copy the exact same thing in here. I'm going to have it all the way right here, and that should do the job perfectly. So let's go and edit that. So for a hamburger menu, what we're going to be using is just like some framer motion kind of like animated hamburger menu. So for example, if you like move from the hamburger menu state, if you click on the button, the hamburger menu itself is going to change into a cross. It's just going to animate this SVG, and whenever you click the cross there, like for close, you're going to get the hamburger menu back again, which is like the 3 horizontal bars stacked up together. So yeah, for this animation, I already got things wrapped up. I created another component, which is quite hard and huge. So I'm just going to copy paste it and go over it real quick because it's like available online and you can grab it. And also you can grab the code in here. It's not really complicated to look at it, by the way. So I'm going to just name this like it's menu toggle, and I'm going to name this like menu toggle DSX. So Here I'm using favor motion, so this is the right place where we needed to use favor motion mainly. I've got a button in here, which is the main button. So path in here renders motion path, which is an SVG path. All it does is like puts a stroke, puts a fill transparent, stroke line cap. Now the menu toggle in here takes toggle and is open as props. So if it is open, it's gonna render up the cross, which means it's gonna animate from like horizontal lines into like more diagonal lines to make the cross. And the middle one in here, which is the middle third line, it's gonna completely hide it out because the cross has only 2 cross lines, by the way, if you're not familiar with that. So yeah, here it toggles that as well. For the path in here, we're just doing some animation from variance. If it's closed, we do this D path. If it's open, we do this D path with this stroke. All happens with the same orders, and just like putting some transition in here for like duration, it takes 0.3 seconds. You can increase that by like 33 or something, whatever you want to play around with it. So this is basically our hamburger menu. Pretty straightforward. Not gonna just like go real deep into it. So that should do the job perfectly for us. And we're gonna need some tweaking right here because we want to like the menu to pop up and everything. So this one's gonna leave it the same way, but we're gonna just like do the UL one here is gonna represent more like a menu. So therefore we're gonna be doing, so I'm gonna down, I'm gonna add some like background color to it to be FFF because it's gonna be more like a menu. We also kind of like have a width of it, so we're gonna need 100% width for that. For the flux direction, we're gonna need a column because right now it's a menu, so we want them like in a column, more like a vertical way, being rendered as. And last but not least, we're gonna have like position to be fixed because right now we want the menu to be fixed whenever it's opened, so it covers like on top of the whole content of the page because it's like more of a mobile responsive. So whenever you click the menu is gonna open up on the whole screen. It's going to be fixed position. And for the top in here, since the navigation bar has like something like 60 pixels, so we can have like a 65 pixels from the top, and left is going to be mainly 0 because we want to center up everything together in that right way. So yeah, this is basically what we're going to be needing for that particular case right there. Now for this one, we can get rid of like justify content and align items, I think, because we don't need them. We want them to be like horizontal. So we got display flags again, hover the height, and it can also put some width to be 100%. So for the height, we truly don't get it, or we don't need it anyway. And yeah, so this is basically what it is for that case, and all we're going to be needed for that. Now let's go ahead and create some state to be able to toggle the changes. So what we want, whenever the user clicks on the menu, we just like show up the actual UL menu. Otherwise, it's just gonna hidden by default. So therefore, I'm gonna use some React state. I'm gonna put is open and set open. So therefore, I'm gonna use state here. By default, it's gonna be false, which means closed. And whenever we want to render stuff, so navigation link, here I want to render the hamburger menu or the menu toggle that we have just created. This one, remember, it takes is open, so we're gonna cover up or put it in is open and toggle. So for toggling in here, it's pretty simple. All we have to do is just pass it in a function that just like sets is open, but every single time it toggles it, which means it's just gonna go like the opposite of the current opening state. So if it is true, becomes false. If it is false, becomes true, and so on and so forth. So we would say like not is open, and that should do the job for us perfectly. Now here we should render this depending if it is actually being open or depending the current state is open or not. So therefore we just like check is open. So if it is open, we can just like make it this way. And so all we're gonna do like is open. I'm gonna render up the links wrapper in here. Otherwise, just gonna completely like hide it out because we don't need it anyway. So I think that should be pretty self-explanatory. Let's go ahead and test that out and give it just like a test. So yeah, we're not having this true be rendered. So we can just go ahead and make that to be rendered in here. So since we got accessibility, we got the navigation links in here, they only being rendered. Now what we want is actually whenever we hit the mobile size, which means we go this low on size, like less than 780 or 68 pixels, we want to just like get rid of this menu and replace it by Hamburger menu. So therefore we're going to use React responsive. So here we check if it is mobile. So we're going to do use media query, which is imported from React responsive library, and this one takes like a maximum width. And I'm going to do device sizes. I think I've got it somewhere here. Okay, so I got this inside of responsive. Yeah, I kind of like that. Pretty weird. I shouldn't have done that. So that has an issue too, I think. Okay, it's can't resolve. Where is that? So Navbar index. Is it because of the logo or something? Yeah, this is not the problem. It should work now. Okay. So yeah, we got things going the right way right now because it has been fixed. So let's just jump back. I think it's called device size. I don't know what I named this. So we go. Called device size, exactly. So let's go manually import that. I'm gonna say import device size from going back to responsive. That should do the job. So we can go to device size and we can import the mobile. So remember the mobile here we chose to be like 768 because it's not really like a mobile because mobile is like low, it's less than 500 pixels, but still 768 in here could be a good choice because most mobiles, there's like affordable mobiles right now, larger screens. So yeah, you have to cover all the edge cases. So the better just like take the number a little bit higher. It won't affect anything. It won't be bad. So just put it a little bit higher. It would be really great to fix all the issues you've got. So yeah, pretty great here. So if it is mobile, what we want is actually to render is mobile. So for that, what I'm going to do is mobile. So I'm going to render so mobile. I don't think I renamed this. So nav links, yeah, I haven't. So I can do mobile navigation links. So we can import it, mobile navigation links. You can put it there too. So if it is mobile, we're going to render this one, and I'm going to hide this one. Okay, that should be pretty simple. We also going to hide this one because those represent the desktop or the regular navigation links. So we're not going to need this one anymore. So just going to say not is mobile and say and nav links, so we can completely remove it from the DOM depending on that. Mobile is not exported. Okay, there should be something. Okay, I think I changed it here. Okay, there's something wrong with me. Definitely something wrong with me. So we can go back. I think this way should work. Now if we go, so you see we already got the Hamburger menu. So if we just go back to the regular size, like a bigger size, we get the normal looking menu with the buttons and everything. And if we go all the way down to like 700, which is a mobile view, we get everything being replaced by a Hamburger menu. Now if we click this Hamburger menu, boom, we got a really awesome menu coming up. And just like you can toggle it back and forth. As clear as the animation here looks pretty straightforward and awesome, like animating the actual Hamburger menu bars from like a menu bars into a cross and from a cross to a menu bars. This one looks pretty amazing, by the way. and you got the menu. So now let's go ahead and add the login register, the accessibility there, I think to make it look a little bit better. So we can just go right down there. Before we close things up in here, we can just like go and access, or put accessibility this way. Yeah, I should have put this down here, I think. Okay, I think well, we can just gonna do like we'll probably just, we can leave it this way because it's not really an issue, but still, let's go ahead and make for example, do another component. So it's going to be like marginer style div. So it's going to have like a height of 1 em of height whenever we put that. So you can just have it here for the marginer, and it can create some height. So I think that would be better. We can even increase it a bit, like 2 em, probably for login and register. I think that should look better. And also here for the links item, we can introduce some heights between these, I think. I don't know. So we can go and introduce some margin bottom to about like 10 pixels, maybe. That way it would look a little bit better. We can also introduce some font size changes to make it look bigger as well. That would be better. Let's clear this in here. And we got the actual animation still works, which is kind of, we don't want that anymore. So we can get rid of it. Yeah. So we can get rid of that because we don't need it anymore. And it should just like look pretty simple, straight to the point. We don't want any complexities or anything like that. And this way, it should do the job perfectly. So you can go back. Where is that? For the accessibility as well, we can just do it like margin from the left, about 10 pixels. Why not? Kind of like looks a little bit better. If you take it, it still looks absolutely amazing. If you go all the way down, we got the menu, click that, we got our menu, and it just like toggles between the menu back and forth. Really, really smooth animation and everything going the right way in here. So yeah, everything looking pretty perfect. You can try it out on that, and it should look absolutely amazing with the menu and everything. So if you just got the menu here, goes all the way out, and even the menu disappears, and it's like it removes it out of the way and make it look a little bit better. We can also just change some login buttons in here. They look a little bit bigger than they should be. So I can go ahead and change this to 13 pixels as well as this one. I don't know. It feels bigger and we don't want that. So I think they should look a bit better right now. And yeah, so pretty straightforward things, and hope you guys actually enjoyed all of that. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. We reached the end in here. Hope you guys enjoyed making this navigation bar from scratch. It was like more oriented toward like beginners who are just getting started with React, who don't know how to make components and manipulate stuff. So this tutorial should be like self-explanatory, getting started, creating and scaffolding a project, then getting barefoot into the React ecosystem, how to put components together, use state, and create this awesome navigation bar and with responsiveness from the CSS3. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as always. If you like this kind of video tutorials, we'll make like, you know, take some kind of like aspects for responsiveness or something and just like start creating it from scratch. And by the way, I've got like an idea of like putting some coding challenges, kind of like series on the channel, where I just like put on GitHub some README file, has the list of like coding challenges I should do. It should probably be like each 2 weeks there's a video for coding challenge, and you can go to like put a pull request there, or you can put them in the comments of which coding challenges I should do next, and you could pretty much tell me what coding challenge you would want me to cover in a video tutorial, and it would do like for example, an XO kind of game or a snake game, any kind of algorithm or something like that, well, it could be awesome. But let me discuss it in the comments if you really like this idea. But without further ado, guys, hope you guys enjoyed it as always. Hope you guys liked this video. Hope you guys liked the channel. Make sure to subscribe, push the like button as always, and hope you guys catch it up in the next ones.